Hello everyone, this is POW Ponder on Weather. In this update, we're going to be talking about potential Hurricane Grace as we look to have back-to-back tropical systems in the Gulf with U.S. impacts. So if you do like weather-related content, please subscribe to my channel as I will upload daily updates to keep you ahead of the storm. So let's get right to it. Here is the overall satellite picture this morning as of August the 14th. And out here in the Pacific, this is major category 4 Hurricane Linda. Man, it's got a very symmetrical eye to it. Luckily, it is out in the open waters, but it's down to a 950 millibar major category 4 hurricane currently. And that is going to continue moving off into the west. And it's going to be expecting to dissipate before it gets to Hawaii. But out here into the Atlantic, these are our main concerns. We have Fred out here that's just coming off the coast of Cuba. It's poorly disorganized. In fact, they actually downgraded it just kind of to an open wave currently at the moment because it had a lot of land impacts. But we also have this other feature down here by the Lesser Antilles. That is Tropical Storm Grace. And a lot of guidance has this continuing on a similar path that Fred and takes it to a hurricane in the next several days. So let's take a look at the overall picture as far as your ensemble members for Fred. One thing that's actually happened, because it has kind of sheared apart into more or less an open wave, the center of it has moved further west. So now it's not going to be, it's going to be more or less over the eastern Gulf of Mexico, essentially about 300 miles away from Orlando. So this puts it well out into the open waters now. And as it comes off the coast here, yes, it is expected to gain in intensity. And it's not out of the question that we couldn't see even a potential hurricane with this one, because it's further west. And then we also have, it's going to be a lot later now. We're talking possibly Monday night before it could potentially make landfall. But both guidance has this pushing well west at making impacts somewhere around Pensacola, Biloxi, Mobile, somewhere around those areas by the time we get into Monday night. So if we take a look at all the guidance of all the models, that kind of implies the same thing. They're all kind of congealing together. This is going to be out in the open waters of the Gulf of Mexico. So it still has, even though, yes, it has officially downgraded to a just kind of an open wave currently at the moment, because it literally got sheared apart over Cuba. But it's going to be over the open waters. It still has prime conditions to work with. And it has another 2.5 days to regenerate and reform and strengthen before it actually hits land. So it's gonna hit land. So and a lot of the dynamics are going to be setting up that are going to be fairly prime for kind of rapid development as it continues moving off to the west northwest. So here's the official track. This is the official track from the National Hurricane Center. It's got it as a 35 mile per hour, kind of a remnant low. It's moving west northwest. This is basically right now, as the 11 a.m. advisory, the remnants of Fred. So yes, it's literally just came off the coast of Cuba here, and that's why they went ahead and said, hey, it's no longer a tropical entity. We're going to downgrade this, but as soon as it comes off the coast, going into the open waters, going to regenerate sometime tomorrow, and then make impact right around, this is 8 p.m., right around potentially, Pensacola, Mobile, Biloxi area, time frame on Monday night. So this is the dynamics going forward for hurricane seeders. This is what I was concerned about with this particular season. One thing, we've got La Nina building. It hasn't officially hit yet, but La Nina will be coming, and it's probably going to be officially issued probably in the next several weeks. But the main setup, what's going to happen for the rest of hurricane season, that we've got a dominating ridge going to be parked over the southeastern coast of Canada here, but into the August, September, October time frame, essentially for the next 3 months. Majority of the time, there's going to be a dominating ridge parked over the southeast coast of Canada. That's going to act as a steering current for these tropical systems to be able to push further west towards the United States. So what's happening with Fred and what will be Grace here is we've got this dominating Bermuda high, all right, and that acts as a steering wheel. So as these systems come off the coast of Africa, with this combination of this dominating Bermuda high and this steering wheel to push these things further west, we've got this ridge locked over the southeast, southeast parts of Canada. That's going to keep the train alive for predominantly a good chunk of the rest of hurricane season. And that's why I do feel why we're seeing systems kind of back to back making impacts to land. So as these things form off the coast of Africa, they're a lot more likely to travel further west and make impacts to the United States. And that's why I do feel going forward, this is a big year for U.S. impacts with tropical systems. So let's take a look at the overall latest HRRF model. And this is a hurricane model. And so this is pretty bullish, guys. I mean, it drops this into the open waters of the Gulf of Mexico. We've got a lot of warm waters out here. We got a lot less shear to work with. This is the open waters of the Gulf, okay? So this actually takes it down coming up on Monday, over at Sunday night, in the overnight hour, Sunday night, Monday morning, down to 1,000 millibar tropical storm, up to 44 knots, which is a little bit over 50 mile per hour tropical storm force winds. But watch what happens as it gets near the coast. As it gets near the coast, this thing, yes, it's not out of the question. It can't rapidly develop. So the official guidance from the National Hurricane Center has it at a 50 to 60 mile per hour tropical system when it makes landfall. But yes, it's not out of the question that this thing could rapidly intensify, especially as we're in phase 2 right now of the Mann-Julie oscillation. That is the most prime phase for tropical storms. And with all the ridge dominating, the less shear we're working with, the loop eddy current that's going to be going over the Gulf of Mexico. We've seen this with Michael before, so yes, it's not out of the question that this could ramp up at least to a minimal hurricane. This has it taken up to an 80 mile per hour hurricane, a 985 millibar, as it's coming ashore. This would be Monday evening, so we still have another 2.5 days for this to regenerate in the Gulf of Mexico. So yeah, this is the waters is going to be traveling over the next several days. I mean, look at this, 86, 87 degrees. This water is plenty warm for the atmosphere to pretty conducive for tropical development. And here's the shear, and that's one thing I'm concerned about. It's very favorable, so it's going into an environment that's pretty much all this green shaded area here. It's very, very, very favorable environment that that's going to be working with. So there's the setup is there that it could definitely regenerate, and with those 2.5 days go from a remnant low to a minimal hurricane is not out of the question before it makes landfall. So definitely, be on the lookout for that. Because here's the setup. Here's the 500 millibar pattern as we go into Monday morning. You can definitely see this dominating ridge over the southeast coast. And this is what you're going to probably see for a good chunk of the hurricane season, is this dominating ridge over the southeastern parts of Canada here. And we have convergence underneath. And so all this cooler air, this cold front that we talked about yesterday, my yesterday's update, has all the cooler air underneath. And we've got this tropical system down here, that's Fred. And then back behind it, we've got a trough out to the west. And once Fred makes impact, that sets the stage for this cooler air to dive into to the United States with that cold front that we talked about with these lows, these deepening lows. So once Fred gets out of the way, man, this will dive into and then bring some much cooler air, at least down here, this area right here, part of the country. And this is what the update yesterday was about. And so now let's take a look at the overall rainfall guidance over the next 7 days with Fred. So as this is out in the open waters now, since it's going to be out more or less into the open waters of the Gulf of Mexico, it puts a lot of the heavier rains away from Florida. So now only the southern tip is expecting to get those multi-inch, 5-inch type rain amounts. But a lot of the heavier rains have pushed it well out in the open waters and going to be in and around where it's going to make an impact on the right hand side, which is the dirty side. That's where your heavier rain is going to be. And then as it pushes upward, jumping some very heavy rain into the Carolinas, into Virginia as well. But back behind it, we've got Grace. So this is right on the heels, and this is now all officially a tropical storm, Grace. This has moving west at 22 miles an hour. So this is literally taken almost an identical path of what Fred has taken. See, these steering wheels that we're watching from the Bermuda High here, that's locked over here, helps these steer kind of in the same direction. So that's what we're seeing. This continues. The official guidance has it remaining a tropical storm, but there's a lot of guidance has it bumping up into a hurricane even as we get into the Wednesday time frame. So it's going to traverse over Puerto Rico, going into the Dominican Republic, going in north of Cuba, and then going back potentially into the Gulf of Mexico. So here's the latest intensity guidance. Right now it's a tropical storm, but yeah, there's a lot of guidance has it taken it to a minimal hurricane, if not maybe a category 2 hurricane by the time it possibly reaches into the Gulf of Mexico. So yes, we got back-to-back systems that we're gonna have to be concerned about for US impacts over the next 7 to 10 days. So here's the latest ensemble member guidance of the European model as well as the GFS model for Tropical Storm Grace. Currently it continues on the path of that west-northwest path. The European model takes it over Florida and puts it back into the Gulf of Mexico, kind of the same area where Fred is right now. And then we also have the GFS model puts it a little bit further off to the west, more or less more into the open waters of the Gulf, but still putting it into the Gulf of Mexico. So we've got two ensemble members kind of coming together now, saying, hey, we have another system potentially going back into the Gulf after Fred comes ashore. And here's all the models. Again, it takes it more or less into Florida, back into the open waters of the Gulf of Mexico by the time we get into day 5, going to day 6, day 7 time frame. From now. But even back behind that, the latest European model back on August the 24th has yet another system coming off the coast of Africa that's already looks to be a tropical storm by then. And again, with those steering currents over here, the ridge locked over southeast Canada, it's going to steer this system towards westbound towards the United States again. So we see a prime setup for tropical storms not only forming. The concern this year again is this is highly susceptible, highly capable of pushing towards the United States and making more impacts than usual in a usual hurricane season. So let's take a look at the precipitation models. I showed you the next 7 days. Here's the 20th through the 27th time frame with Grace. So this has Grace pushing ashore, a lot of rain out in the Caribbean. It puts the majority of the rain towards Texas off the southeast coast. So yeah, we've got a lot more heavier rain back from Fred, and then we also have Grace compounding, and this will keep the temperatures down with all the cloud cover, with these congruent cold fronts is going to be coming down over the next 7 to 10 days. And with the combination of these two systems, this whole area in the south and the southeast, I expect to be below average temperatures with all the cloud cover and the rain around for August. So I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video. Definitely leave your comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel to catch the latest update where I protect you before and after the storm.